Hello and welcome to Dan Stand. This weekend the Premier League kicks off and today I will be doing my Premier League preview. I'll be giving you the ins and outs of every team and how I feel they will fare this season. So obviously last season Man City won the league, but the biggest talking point was probably Arsenal's performance. They came pretty close at points, but in the end just didn't have enough to get anywhere near Manchester City. Can they close the gap this season? For me, Arsenal's biggest problem last season was their lack of depth in the squad. When they got injuries in key positions at crunch time last season, they didn't have the players to come in and keep grinding out results. As Man City showed, they got stronger and stronger as the season went on, which resulted then in them winning a historic treble. Now, Arsenal have strengthened their squad. They brought in Declan Rice, Kai Havertz and Jurrien Timber. The transfer of Rice could say is a direct replacement for Granit Xhaka, who left to go to Leverkusen. Declan Rice is quite clearly an upgrade on Xhaka, but how much of a difference will he make to that Arsenal side? Now, I've heard some people saying that Declan Rice will be the difference for Arsenal, enabling them to win the league. But when you compare to Man City have Rodri in the same position, and is Declan Rice better than Rodri? Not in my opinion. Now, the signing of Kai Havertz from Chelsea I thought was a strange one, really, because he hasn't really performed that great for Chelsea. He's kind of not really found his true potential with them. Perhaps Arsenal will be able to get the potential out of Kai Havertz and make him into the player that people think he could be. The main sticking point for me is that he was kind of filling the gap for Chelsea in their lack of a main striker. Now, with Gabriel Jesus injured for Arsenal, he could be doing the same job for Arsenal now for what was a problem for Chelsea. Arsenal seem to have taken their problem and made it their own. Whether they are going to bring in Eddie Nketiah or use Florian Balogun is yet to be seen. But Kai Havertz could be playing that role. And as we saw for Chelsea last season, he didn't really fulfill the role as you would want him to. So I believe Arsenal are probably still lacking the depth in that striker area. Whether they bring someone else in before the end of the season, I don't know. I haven't seen many strikers linked with them thus far. Jurrien Timber is a great signing at the back, brings them that strength which we saw lacking last season when they had injuries. They ended up bringing in the likes of Rob Holding, who probably wasn't up to standard, so there's a good strength there. He's probably going to come in at right back for them. Share the position with Ben White perhaps. Although they've definitely improved their squad since last season, have they done enough to close that gap on Man City? I don't think so. To be honest, I think rather than looking how much closer they are to Man City, they may be looking over their shoulders to see how much more their rivals have improved on them. Because as we'll go on to, I believe that their closest rivals have vastly improved since last season, and Arsenal won't necessarily be as close to Man City as they were due to the fact that other teams are giving them a better fight. So the main question, are Arsenal going to catch Man City this season? I don't think so. If anything, they might be further away. Now, with regards to Man City, there's been talk from a lot of areas I've seen saying that they are weaker than they were last season, and the word depleted has been used quite a lot. And I can't see how this is the case. Now, their significant transfers out were Riyad Mahrez and Ike Gundogan. Mahrez, kind of a bit part player for them. He's obviously a brilliant player and has done well at times, but in general for their squad, he's not a regular starter. So I don't think he's a great loss to them, and they've got plenty of other players who play that position who can step in. Gundogan obviously was their captain and will be a big loss, but they've signed Gvardiol and Kovacic. Kovacic obviously fills the same position as Gundogan. So I don't think Gundogan leaving is really going to affect their results in any way or performance. Gvardiol, again, is potentially the best young centre-back in the world right now. So for him to come in is bringing a huge improvement on that Man City team now and going forward. And it probably frees up John Stones even more to play going forward into that midfield slot, which again strengthens the position where they've lost Gundogan. And they started playing with 4 centre-backs last season, and with John Stones stepping into midfield and with Gvardiol coming in, you'll probably see that a lot more. With Mahrez out, there's obviously the talk of who's going to get more minutes. It could be Phil Foden, who everyone is just anticipating to see him kick on and be that world-class player we're expecting. He didn't start in the Community Shield at the weekend and came on for Grealish. Now, if he was going to be starting, you'd be expecting him to play alongside Grealish. So the fact he's not started and Grealish hasn't, and he's replaced Grealish, makes you think that he's going to be sharing minutes with Grealish. Bernardo Silva and Julian Alvarez also started, so perhaps we're going to see them get more minutes as a result of Mahrez leaving. And Julian Alvarez showed incredible potential last season, so perhaps he's going to kick on and be the real talking point of Man City this season. Obviously, Erling Haaland is the big player for them with how many goals he scores, but the majority of the goals he scored last season were at the beginning of the season when they started, with all the hat-tricks he was scoring. And he didn't score as many goals after in the new year, really. And Guardiola kind of changed the way they were playing, because at the beginning of the season they were focused around Haaland, and which saw him scoring so many goals. And that's when they were off the pace to Arsenal. And Guardiola changed things up and stopped them having that focus into Haaland, which resulted in him scoring less goals. So perhaps there isn't going to be the same focus around Haaland there was the beginning of last season, and overall he may score less goals than last season. But Haaland is obviously an incredible goal scorer and will score goals regardless. It's just a case of how many. But yeah, interesting to watch Man City, how they develop this season, how they change. But I can't see them dropping their performance levels in any way, and they will be the team everyone is chasing. Can't see anyone catching them, unfortunately. There's a lot for everyone else to do to reach their levels. Last year's third place team was Manchester United. Now, there's been some ins and outs for them this summer. Those players that have left include David De Gea, Anthony Elanga, Telles, Phil Jones, Weghorst ended his loan, Jack Butland has gone, Sabitzer ended his loan, Iqbal's gone. And they have brought in so far Rasmus Højlund, Mason Mount, Onana in goal, and Johnny Evans, who was temporary but potentially will stay. Now, for me, United have a really good transfer window, improving in every area. And unlike they have been for years, they've got the business done early. They have got every target they've gone for, which is very much unlike every transfer window United have had in recent years, because they seem to have just been every summer losing out to uh, players to Man City, to Liverpool, and not getting the targets they're going for, not doing the business early, and ending up seemingly panic buying at the end of the window. So it's great to see United getting it done well and getting it done early, which gives Ten Hag a great chance to improve the team going into the start of the season. Now, for me, of all the signings, the biggest difference could be that of the goalkeeper change from De Gea to Onana. Now, De Gea, his main problem has really been how good he is with his feet, and with that being a problem, United were unable to play how Ten Hag wants them to play, to be able to play out from the back. So bringing in Onana, who is notoriously one of the best goalkeepers in the world with his feet, Ten Hag can start getting the team to play exactly how he wants them to play. So we could see a huge difference for United in that. Mason Mount is, I'm not sure. We'll have to see. He's obviously had a big dip in form for Chelsea. Was in and out of the team quite a lot, but I'm not exactly sure how he's going to fit into this United team, because obviously Bruno Fernandes plays every game, never gets injured. So he's in the team, and he's kind of fitted into this midfield three with Casemiro and Eriksen last season, with McTominay and Fred coming in and out of the team as cover. Now, Fred may leave, McTominay may leave, but I think the preference for Ten Hag is to keep McTominay and lose Fred. But the Mason Mount, he's not going to come in instead of Casemiro in that number 6 role. So he's probably most likely, when he's in the team, going to be coming in instead of Eriksen. But he's a very different player to Eriksen. He's not as calm and comfortable on the ball. He's they're probably going to want him playing as this box-to-box player. So does he fit in with Bruno Fernandes is the main question, because he's going to be wanting to get forward just like Bruno does. So we'll see how Ten Hag makes that work. Rasmus Højlund obviously is a position United have been lacking. They got Weghorst to fill that a lot last season. Martial's the other striker who is eternally injured, currently injured. They might try and get rid of him. Now Højlund's in. He's young, he's tall, quick, strong. He hasn't got a huge record of scoring bags of goals. So I don't expect him to come in and take the Premiership by storm, scoring 30-odd goals. But he is an improvement for United. He does fill that position they need. So he's currently injured. So they reckon he's going to be out for the first few weeks of the season. So with Martial out as well, we'll probably see Rashford filling that number 9 role at the beginning of the season. So really good chance for Rashford to start with goals, as he did last season. So hopefully Rashford continues his form. He was at this pre-season training camp that he started to do a couple of years ago, which seems to be great for him, as he starts pre-season already in super fit form. So we could see Marcus Rashford really hitting the ground running when the season starts this weekend. Like I said, they could still lose a few players, including Martial. Maguire, still linked to West Ham, could go. Van der Beek could go. Fred could go. They're looking at currently Sofian Amrabat, who would be a great addition in midfield from Fiorentina. So really good summer for United. And like I said, they could be getting closer to Arsenal rather than Arsenal getting closer to Man City. Newcastle had a great season last year, finishing top 4, getting Champions League football. They have so far only significant transfers lost Alan San-Maximin, who bags of potential, that player. In my mind, never really fulfilled it. Exciting to watch, but was often not in and out of the team and not really a key player for them. So I don't think that's a huge loss. Signings they've made so far, Tonali and Harvey Barnes, and potentially getting Livramento from Southampton. Sandro Tonali, brilliant player, dubbed the next Pirlo at AC Milan. Didn't really want to leave, but Milan wanted the money, so he kind of got persuaded to go. Could be a brilliant player. Really good signing for Newcastle. Harvey Barnes, again, a great signing. Before he got injured last year, he was starting to break into the England squad and started showing signs of form again last season for Leicester. Obviously, they got relegated, so he didn't quite do enough there, but he could be really good for Newcastle. So, yeah, great season for Newcastle. Squad improving. They're very well balanced and kind of settled under Eddie Howe. So with the transfers he makes and keeping the team together and not doing anything crazy, they're not kind of stripping the team and bringing in all sorts of crazy money signings. I think they're just slowly improving, getting there, and yeah, good signs for them this season. In terms of the Champions League, you hear people say, "Oh, will being in Europe affect a team because they got more games to play?" I don't think so. With Newcastle, they've got a big enough and a strong enough squad to cope with that, and they've got a lot of experience in there as well. So yeah, good signs for Newcastle this season. They'll be fighting for top 4 again. Now, when we look at Liverpool for this season, last season they had quite a mixed bag, shall we say. They were dreadful at times and outstanding at others. They seem to be finding their way towards the end of the season. So we could potentially see a resurgent Liverpool coming into this season. Now, they've lost Fabinho, Henderson, Firmino, Keita, Milner. They've signed Solskjaer, McAllister, and they're still in negotiations trying to get Lavia from Southampton. Now, Solskjaer and McAllister, brilliant signings, great players. Dominic Solskjaer, I've seen him do some fantastic things for Hungary, and he's got unlimited potential. Set pieces is a real positive for him. Alexis McAllister has been great for Brighton last couple of years and obviously won the World Cup with Argentina. So he comes into that central role where Liverpool have let so many players go. Lavia also would fill that gap. Have Liverpool done enough to fill those positions where they've lost? Because they have lost quite a few signings and they've lost experienced signings. Towards the end of last season, they looked like they were getting somewhere back towards their best. They had Trent in his new role, and then new signings from a year ago looked like they were starting to settle in with Gakpo and Darwin Núñez really hitting their stride. And Curtis Jones it felt like a new signing towards the end of last season because all of a sudden he was playing some outstanding football. And then we saw Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota starting to come back from injury. So there's a whole host of players for Liverpool that had their new signings where it could be a very different prospect than it was last season. So I would expect Liverpool to be right up there, back in the big time. They've obviously got no Champions League football. So their emphasis will be more so on the Premier League, and I'd see them getting top four, which again, the strides forward they've made are going to make it much harder for the teams that were doing well last season. Now, we've seen huge changes for Chelsea in recent years with the new ownership and all the comings and goings. They had a frankly dreadful season last year, and Pochettino's come in over the summer. He took a long time to get his contract sorted, which I've heard that it was a lengthy contract negotiations because of what happened in the past, and we saw Potter there briefly and have a torrid time, and Thomas Tuchel left kind of under a cloud after winning the Champions League. There were rumours of the owners wanting to come in the dressing room at half time and Tuchel not allowing that, and that being the kind of catalyst to his firing. Apparently Pochettino has hashed out this contract to make sure things like that don't happen. So the fact it's taken so long, and that's why they ended up getting Frank Lampard in as interim. But the fact it's taken so long could be a really good thing, that Pochettino has managed to sign a deal where he's got a lot more control than the previous managers had. And we've immediately seen Chelsea shed players. The list of players they have got rid of is a big one. Havertz, Mount, Kovacic, Koulibaly, Pulisic, Mendy, Loftus-Cheek, Ampadu, Kante, Azpilicueta, Aubameyang, Fofana, Baba, and the Lukaku, Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi have not been given squad numbers for this season, so we would most likely see them leaving. Transfer they've had coming in are Nkunku, Nicholas Jackson, Alex Disasi, Robert Sanchez in goal, Leslie Ugochukwu, Angelo, the youngster, and still in negotiations to get Caicedo, who would be a great signing for them. They obviously needed this massive clear out. Their squad was too big. It was unworkable. It wasn't working for them last season. I'm frankly surprised to see them bring in so many players, but whether these players, some of them might go out on loan, I don't know. The biggest problem last year seemed to be the striker problem, or lack of it. Unfortunately, Nkunku has picked up a knee injury, which he's having surgery on, and could see him out for 3.5 months. So they've got Nicholas Jackson leading the line for them now, but anything that happens to him, and they're looking pretty short in attack again. Now, Pochettino, obviously a manager with great pedigree, could make a huge difference to Chelsea if he has got his own way and has got complete control. He's got some amazing players that Chelsea have signed over the last couple of years. And if he can get those players like Mudryk, like Enzo Fernandez, if he can get them playing to their potential, then Chelsea have got a real chance this season. And I think he will. So I can see Chelsea really improving from last season. No European football. Everything to play for, and I can't see why they won't be back up there fighting for top four. Tottenham are another team who have had some huge changes since last season. New manager in Ange Postecoglou. He could be seen as fairly inexperienced, especially at this level. There were big question marks over him when he took over at Celtic. Ended up winning the treble last season. But he's a manager who quite excites me, to be honest, because he has got a record of playing really attacking, exciting football. He was coached by Ferenc Puskas which is where he gets his style and tactics and the basis of his play, which is an exciting name. Obviously, a man who knew how to score a goal or two, and pretty good ones at that. The notable players Spurs have had in and out are leaving Harry Winks and Lucas Moura, and they have signed James Maddison, Pedro Porro, Kulusevski deal got made permanent, Mana Solomon just signed Van at the back, and Alejo Veliz. James Maddison is a brilliant signing for Tottenham for all of his qualities at Leicester, and he was breaking into the England squad as well. So yeah, great signing for Tottenham. Proven player. Pedro Porro is looking like a really attacking handful at fullback. But probably what could turn out to be the best bit of business Tottenham have done this season is keeping hold of Harry Kane. And it looks like the latest bid they've turned down from Bayern Munich. I mean, Bayern Munich stated that was a final take it or leave it offer. So we should presume that Harry Kane is staying with Tottenham this season. They may lose him at the end of the season on a free transfer, but playing in an attacking team, creating chances for him, he could score a hell of a lot of goals this season. He scored 30 goals last season in an underperforming Spurs side. So if you start getting that Spurs side going and using Kane to his full potential, Erling Haaland's last season's goal record could be in danger. And Son as well didn't have the best of seasons last year, but we found out he wasn't fully fit for large parts. So a fully fit Son linking up with Kane again could be very dangerous. Now, Postecoglou notoriously has a slow start with teams. He did with Celtic, and he has for all of his other clubs. So we may see a period of Tottenham trying to find their feet. Could be exciting. Could be seeing some 4-alls in there. Mixed results I'm expecting, but I would think they would come good by the end of the season. Probably not good enough to challenge for top 4 just yet, but exciting times for Spurs. Now, on the back of the record-breaking season from Brighton, the best season the club has ever had, qualifying for Europe for the first time, they have had quite a successful summer keeping hold of the majority of their squad. They obviously lost McAllister to Liverpool early doors. Sanchez, goalkeeper, has gone, and they are struggling to keep hold of Caicedo. They've signed João Pedro, who looks like an interesting prospect. Verbruggen, goalkeeper, straight replacement for Sanchez. Igor, a centre-back from Fiorentina. James Milner. Mahmoud Dahoud from Dortmund, a player of great experience along with Milner, so could really add to that team, to their kind of young, exciting attacking team with a couple of experienced heads in there. They've got a great manager in De Zerbi, and I can't see them changing much from last season and carrying on the way they're going. They've held on to the core of their team, added to it, and they've got young players coming through like Cisco and Evan Ferguson, who started to show at the end of the season last year how good they are. So if they get introduced to the team this year, we could be seeing the next big thing from Brighton, as we seems to be a feature every single season now. I can't see why they won't pick up where they left off and be challenging for Europe again this season. Aston Villa were a changed side under Unai Emery last season. He took over from Steven Gerrard, and they went from facing relegation to facing Europe. He has not really got rid of anyone. Ashley Young has gone to Everton. But apart from that, he's added to the team with Moussa Diaby, a winger from Leverkusen, Pau Torres at the back, who used to play under Emery at Villarreal, and Yuri Tillmans from Leicester. Well, they looked increasingly good under Emery last season, and I'd expect them to carry on in that vein. They've got youngsters like Ollie Watkins, Jacob Ramsey. If they keep on the way they're going, Villa are looking like a very, very decent prospect this season. And similar to Brighton, they're going to be right up there, challenging for Europe, I should expect. Now, Brentford are another side who performed very well last season, above expectations, I would say. I'm kind of viewing them a bit different to Brighton this season in the fact that they have really stood still. And as they say in this league, if you're not moving forward, you are moving backwards. They haven't lost many players. They sold Janssen, their centre-back, and the goalkeeper, Raya, is expected to leave. They've signed Nathan Collins at centre-back from Wolves, straight replacement for Janssen, and Kevin Schade from Freiburg, the winger. And they've already got Flecken, the goalkeeper, who has replaced Raya before he's even left. So they kind of kept their squad together, but the biggest loss is Ivan Toney, who's out until January, and the amount of goals and the impact he had on the team last season will be a huge miss. They've got Visa and Mbemo up front to replace him, who are decent, but they're nowhere near the level Ivan Toney is, and with their squad being very similar to last season, but lacking Toney, they may start to go a little bit backwards. I don't think they'll be facing relegation, but they'll be closer to relegation than they will be to Europe this season, I would expect. West Ham won the Conference League last season, a European trophy, glory all over the Hammers. But was this just papering up the cracks of their poor league performance? They've lost their star player and captain Declan Rice to Arsenal. Also left is Masuaka, Lanzini and Scamacca. No big loss there. They have just signed Edson Alvarez from Ajax, who could well be the saviour for them. When you were weighing up the ins and outs before that, that's their first signing of the summer. They're potentially going to sign Harry Maguire as well. They were in for Scott McTominay, but I think that got rejected. But they were weak last season. And like I said, the conference win, it was amazing. But that doesn't necessarily go to say that they're going to have a better season because of that this year. Edson Alvarez will help, but I feel like West Ham need to make a few more signings to be able to improve on what we saw last season. So if they don't they could find themselves in a relegation battle yet again. Fulham had a very solid season last year. They obviously lost Mitrovic for a large period through suspension, and it has looked like that they're going to lose him for good. He was rumoured to go to Saudi Arabia, which hasn't happened, but he's also stated that he won't play for Fulham again, so I imagine he's going to be leaving in the coming weeks. They've also lost, they had Mana Solomon and Cedric Suarez on loan, who have gone now, but they have signed Calvin Bassey, a centre-back from Ajax, Raul Jimenez up front from Wolves, who may be replacing Mitrovic before Mitrovic is even gone. And they made the Willian deal permanent. So, solid outfit last season. They look like they've solidified that a bit more when you thought the loss of Mitrovic last season could see the end of Fulham's good form. They continued to perform quite well. So barring, they haven't got a huge depth in their squad, so barring any injuries to key players, I can imagine Fulham will carry on being fairly solid and be looking for another mid-table finish. Crystal Palace made such good leaps forward under Roy Hodgson's tenure last season that they've ended up making him permanent manager. Now, it's great for them in terms of stability. They know what they're expecting, but it's not exactly exciting, inspirational, forward-thinking at his age. How many more seasons has Roy got in him? But for this season, they lost Wilf Zaha and Mihailovic, notably. And they've signed Mateus Franca, a midfielder from Fiorentina, Jefferson Lerma from Bournemouth. Now, with players like Eze, Elise and Gehi, the loss of Zaha isn't a big deal because these new breed of players that Palace have got are now their star players. If Zaha had left any time over the last 5, 6, 7 years, he would have been a huge loss, and you would have been saying, right, that's the end of Palace. Because who are Palace without Wilf Zaha? But last season, he wasn't even their best player by a long shot. So Zaha won't be a great loss to them. They'll just be hoping to hold on to Eze and Elise to keep that attacking side of their game. And with Roy at the helm, he will confidently steer Palace to another mid-table finish, I would imagine. Wolves are a team that are not looking in great shape right now. They had some financial troubles with the financial fair play rules and ended up having to ship out a load of players, including Ruben Neves, Nathan Collins, Raul Jimenez, Adama Traore, Diego Costa and João Moutinho. Moutinho and Neves have been incredible for Wolves over the years. The backbone of this kind of Premier League era for Wolves. So I'd imagine a lot of Wolves fans are very sad to see them go. They've signed Mac Doherty, who had a great period with Wolves on his first spell. Did amazing work going forward at fullback. Didn't quite get to show that at Tottenham, but he's back. I mean, he's older now, but perhaps he'll be able to rekindle that old form that he had at Wolves the first time. They also signed Cunha and Boubacar Traore. They were loans from last season that got made permanent. Nothing too exciting, as they weren't exactly lighting the world on fire at Wolves last season on their loans. And Wolves were really poor for large periods of last season. And without them making some serious signings over the coming weeks, I can't see them getting any better. So they may struggle. Lopetegui came in as manager last season, and it feels like they turned into a bit of a nothing team, lacking any sort of style or direction. And there's actually rumours that he may be on his way out, getting replaced by Gary O'Neill. My prediction in the current state is that Wolves will be most likely bottom 3 next year, or this year, sorry. And if they get Gary O'Neill in, you see what he did at Bournemouth last season. I think we all thought Bournemouth were going down, especially after they lost 8-0 to Liverpool. Anything can happen, but at the moment, Wolves are in my bottom 3. Speaking of Bournemouth, they've lost notably Jefferson Lerma and Junior Stanislad, so no huge upsets to their squad. They've signed Hamed Traore, midfielder from Sassuolo, Milos Kerkez, left back from AZ Alkmaar, Romain Favre, a right midfielder from Lyon, and Justin Kluivert, who's a winger. And he came from Roma. Now, obviously, the surname Kluivert comes with a lot of expectation. If he can get anywhere close to his father, then Bournemouth have got a very good player there. But he hasn't really shown it so far. So we will see. He might even just be a bit of a backup player for them. To be honest, he might not be making the starting lineup. Time will tell. Bournemouth sacked Gary O'Neill in order to bring in the exciting new young manager Adoni Areola, and if he works out and he's the next big thing, then fair play. But it did seem quite harsh to Gary O'Neill after he did so well. Areola is known for his kind of attacking style of play, and they've got a decent amount of new signings in, so we could see some good stuff from Bournemouth this season. It's a bit of the unknown. They were really solid under Gary O'Neill. There's going to be quite a lot of changes, so it could be an indifferent start from Bournemouth while the new manager finds his way in the Premier League. I'd imagine they would be down the bottom of the table and in a scrap to stay in the league. Everton had, let's say, awful season last year, narrowly escaping relegation, with financial troubles hanging over their head, meaning they can't really sign anyone. They have lost Moise Keane. I mean, he was out on loan, but it's been made permanent to Juventus now. Ellis Sims, I was surprised. He was a player with highly talked of a great potential from their youth system, but I guess they've had to get rid of him to balance the books. Tom Davis has gone, Yerry Mina's gone, Andros Townsend and Connor Cody. So far, they've signed Ashley Young from Aston Villa, and they have signed Danjuma, who is a winger from Villarreal, who could be pretty good. But it's a depleted squad from where they were last season, and they weren't in a good place last season. Like I said, they just avoided the relegation on the last day of the season. However, they do have Sean Dyche in charge, and he is well aware of how to keep a team in the Premier League on a budget. So their main problem is goal scoring, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, when he is at his best, is an incredible goal scorer. He's really struggled with injuries. Pre-season, he's played a couple of 45 minutes and scored. If they can get him fit, I mean, when he has scored pre-season, Everton have won 1-0. So if they can get him fit and get him scoring, you might see Everton win 1-0. Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring the goal as quite a regular theme this season. My expectation is Sean Dyche knows what he's doing. He will make sure they are in the Premier League for another year at least. Nottingham Forest stayed in the Premier League after their promotion from the Championship the season before last. They, despite sticking with their manager Steve Cooper, they made an incredible amount of signings last year. I mean, I don't know how they fit them all in through the doors, which we have seen a bit of a clear out from them. Notable players leaving: Sam Surridge, Jack Colback, Cafu, Jordan Smith, Ojeda, Jesse Lingard, Andre Ayew, Lyle Taylor, Anand Karunchik, and Rennie Lodi and Kaylan Naves went back after their loans. Despite needing to have a clear out, they've still made a couple of signings in Anthony Elanga from United, Chris Wood, the loan they've made permanent, and Ola Arne, who is a right back from Torino. They had a big old squad, like I've said, trimmed it down. Couple in Elanga could be a good signing. When he was playing for United, he'd score the odd goal and look quite lively, could fit well into Forest's team. probably the most exciting player they've got at the moment is Morgan Gibbs-White, who looked really, really good as England won the European Under-21 Championships this year. Biggest thing for me with Forest is that they still have Steve Cooper in charge, and this is giving them consistency and stability despite all the comings and goings on the player side. So Steve Cooper should have found out which players he wants and which players fit with him after last season's experimenting. So yeah, I'd imagine Forest maybe improved this season, and I'm expecting them to avoid relegation again. If they can push a bit further than that, I think might be a little bit too much to ask. So avoiding relegation for Forest is what I think we will see. Burnley are back in the Premier League. They won the Championship last season at a canter. Vincent Kompany is looking like quite the manager. Whether he can translate that to the Premier League from the Championship, we don't know. There's obviously been cases in the past of young managers performing at a lower level who then don't necessarily bring that onto the top league. Since their Championship winning season, they've lost Bobby Thomas, Ashley Barnes, goalkeeper Will Norris and Matt Loughton. Notably, they've signed Zeki Amdouni as a striker, and an amazing signing in James Trafford from Man City in goal, who was the goalkeeper that saved the last-minute penalty to see England win the European Under-21 Championships. They've also signed Jordan Bayer at centre-back, Dara O'Shea, who's got Premier League experience with West Brom. Nathan Redmond, also experience under Southampton. I mean, on the face of things, if they continue the way they played in the Championship, they should have a very good season in the Premier League. But it doesn't always work out like that. Nathan Teller, who scored 17 goals for them last season, has gone back to Southampton. So they have lost a bit from last season. Like I said, they've signed Zeki Amdouni to kind of get those goals back. So whether that's going to have a big impact on them this season, we shall see. They've got Man City first up, so it's not going to take long, and that's on this Friday night. So yeah, it's not going to take long to find out what Burnley can do against the best. I mean, they even had a couple of good cup results last season to show us that we should expect them to be able to perform at this level. So I should expect Burnley to avoid the drop and be pushing for a mid-table-ish finish. Sheffield United were the other team to gain automatic promotion with their second place finish last season. They've lost Ndiaye, who scored 15 goals for them in the Championship. And Billy Sharp, the old warhorse, but they've signed Austin Trusty, a centre back from Arsenal, Bren Traore, a striker, I guess to replace Ndiaye, Anis Slimani at centre midfield, Yasser Larouci, who is a left back who comes in on loan. Now other than Ndiaye, they've held together their promotion-winning squad, with quite a few signings coming in to strengthen them up. So whether that's enough to keep them in the Premier League, we shall see. Now, continuity could be the key for Sheffield United because they've kept that team together and they know how each other plays. But we could see a good start and then them falling off towards the end of the season as their depth and strength of the squad starts to show through. I think they'll do well to stay up. They're probably in my bottom three for this season going down, unfortunately. But with the squad they've got, I can't see them doing too much damage to the bigger teams. And lastly, we have Luton Town, who came up through last season's playoffs. They are the first town to play in the Premier League since Ipswich, and the only other town I can think of is Swindon. It's a bit of a fairy tale story with them being such a small club, and I think everyone's seen how you get into their ground on TikTok. Their first home match has actually been delayed because of the work needed to bring their ground up to scratch, which is a little bit of a worry. So yeah, we'll see if that will get sorted out. In terms of comings and goings, they've lost their goalkeeper Ethan Horvath, who was on loan to Forest and has gone back, but they've replaced him with Blackburn's goalkeeper Thomas Kaminski. They've also signed Ryan Giles, left back from Wolves, Chong, winger from Bournemouth, former Man United, Mads Anderson at centre-back, Nakamba, who's a midfielder from Villa, and Issa Kabore, left back from Man City. Last season, Colton Morris scored 20 goals for them. Elijah Adebayo had 7 goals, and they were played up front, so that's their main danger. Another notable player, Alfie Doherty at wing-back, with 2 goals and 5 assists last season, could be quite effective for them. I mean, with such a small club in the Premier League, anything is a surprise, anything's a bonus. They could end up being the whipping boys down by Christmas, but you never know, they could surprise us all. I wouldn't predict them finishing anywhere other than bottom, but if they get some scalps along the way, then it could be a successful season for them. But yeah, good luck to Luton. I think they've got a big job ahead. That concludes my Premier League review for the 23-24 season. One thing I haven't mentioned that could spice things up a bit is that the Premier League could receive another Champions League spot, meaning it will go down to 5th place. The expansion of the Champions League the following season could result in the English League getting that 5th place, and I'm predicting that the kind of fight for top 4 is going to be between 6 teams, so and it's going to be close, it's going to be exciting. So to have that 5th spot thrown in could make it even more exciting. So yeah, we will see. My prediction to miss out on that those top spots would probably be Newcastle. No matter how good they are, I think everyone's looking a lot better this season than they did last season. So I think they might struggle with the big boys to keep up again. They benefited from some weak performances all round last season, despite them being a very good side. Thanks for listening, and join me again next week for another episode of Downstand.